How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Set 6, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I am going to look at your comments, and I am going to judge them harshly. That's what I'm going to do. No, I'm not. We're going to look at your comments, and we're going to talk about some of your ideas, because I always ask you to let me know what you're thinking in the comments below. So, let's have a chat about what you're thinking in the comments below. This one is going to be going back to the video where I looked at how Part 3 of Final Fantasy VII Remake might begin. Now, obviously I put my ideas out there in the video, but you guys dropped some great ideas in the comments below, so we're going to look at probably the top 5 ideas that I took from the comments below. Please do like the video and subscribe for future content, and also let me know again what you're thinking in the comments below. Do you think these ideas are good? You know, let's keep the conversation going. Also, I feel like I don't need to say this, but I probably should say this just because someone will have a meltdown at some point if I don't. Spoilers for everything. Like, I'm just going to be talking. I don't know what the spoilers are going to be yet, but there's going to be spoilers for pretty much everything Final Fantasy VII related in this video, or at least possibly. So, yeah, if you're not up to date, maybe go and get up to date and then come back. But, let's jump into it. So, this is going to be a pretty chill vibe on this video. I've not really scripted any responses out to this. I've just kind of got a list of what the top 5 suggestions were, and we're going to open up with the idea of a young Sephiroth flashback. And I'm kind of opening up with this one because I think it's one of the least likely out of all of the ideas, if I'm going to be completely honest. The next one as well, I don't think is very likely, but they are possible. Now, it's pretty difficult to speculate about what kind of young Sephiroth flashback we could get, because we've still only had the very smallest amount of this new episode of The First Soldier, episode 2. Now, it looks like the core themes it's going to focus on are going to be around Sephiroth getting Masamune, around Sephiroth's relationship with Jenova, and this Lucretia that appears to in these visions that he's having. He's very much going through the same sort of stuff that Cloud is going through in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, so it's interesting to see those parallels there. We're also going to see a focus on his relationship with Angeal and Hojo, of course, and you never know, other people might pop up, and we also have the possibility of some sort of connection between Alyssa and Lucretia, so there are definitely options for how we could connect back from Remake Part 3 with Episode 2 of The First Soldier. I just feel like before we can really speculate about it, we need a bit more from Episode 2 of The First Soldier. We need to get a bit more information, a few more details. At the minute, it's not really something that I can speculate on too much. If I had to guess, it'd probably be something related to the Alyssa, Lucretia, Sephiroth going slightly crazy aspects of the episode. Yeah, I think if anything, it's going to be that. But again, too little info to go off at the minute, but possible. But moving on from this suggestion, we're going to get into the next one, which is kind of skipping a big chunk of the game, because the next suggestion is that we open Part 3 with Tifa and Barret waking up in Junon. Now, in the OG, for those of you who don't know, Barret and Tifa have been captured by Shinra after the events that happen at the North Crater, and we start off from there, trying to escape from Junon with Tifa and Barret. That's pretty much it. And I don't know why I put this one second. I actually think this is less likely than the previous one, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, because it just feels ludicrous to skip that much of the game and not open the game with Cloud in some way, because Cloud is going to be the main character that we control. Even if we do lose him for small portions of the game like you do in the OG, it's a small portion of the game, and you take control of Cloud reasonably quickly. So yeah, I can't see the game not having Cloud in it at any point in... I mean, if we were to open at Junon, you wouldn't have Cloud for like the first 4 or 5 hours of the game, potentially. And while that would be quite striking, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't think it'd be a good idea. So yeah, I'm kind of... I should have done these the other way around. The Tifa and Barret waking up in Junon suggestion should have gone first, just purely because I can't see us starting with no Cloud for that long. Like, I just can't see it. But it is possible. And it would be quite a striking opening. It would be interesting, the dynamic of us not having Cloud to open Part 3 of Remake. It'd be a very interesting dynamic. And they could do a lot of stuff with it. I just don't think they will. Like, just honestly, it doesn't feel right to me. Again, let me know in the comments, do you think this would work? Anyway, moving on. And this next one is, I think this is quite likely, to be honest with you. This is a pretty high-ranking likelihood one. And it is that we get an alternate view of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's ending in the same way that at the start of Rebirth, we kind of got an alternate view of the ending of Final Fantasy VII Remake. We got to see how it went down from Shinra's perspective, pretty much. Through all their security cameras and through news broadcasts and through Shinra troopers' eyes, you could see Cloud and everyone acting out in the distance. We weren't focused on them, we were focused on Shinra troops. So that was quite interesting, and it would be possible again, but I think there's only two real options for it, and they've both been laid out in the comments. Now, the first of them is that we'd get Cid and or Vincent's perspective on it, which would probably focus more on the Temple of the Ancients and everything that goes down there, although they would still be included afterwards. I just don't know how much, I don't know how useful or beneficial their perspective would be in the very end of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The Temple of the Ancients, yes, 100%, but the actual, like, very, very, very end of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, where everything goes down, not so much. But it would be interesting at the very least. The other suggestion for this is that we see things from Aerith's perspective. Now, this opens up a couple of questions. Which Aerith? Because, you know, we've clearly got the Aerith that we were interacting with regularly, and then we've clearly got this higher consciousness Aerith that seems to be doing things, reaching out through the live stream, the one that's locked in this struggle with Sephiroth. So, which Aerith's perspective we got would be quite interesting. I would like to add a third candidate to this. What if we were to get Zack's perspective of what went down in the ending? I know we kind of already get it a little bit, and I also know that Zack isn't present for most of it, so it's probably the perspective that'd give us the least information, but maybe that's what they go with. Maybe giving us Aerith's perspective would give us too much too early. Maybe giving us Cid and Vincent's perspective could also give us too much too early, whereas giving us Zack's perspective on what went down would give us a little bit, but nothing complete because Zack isn't there for a lot of it. So, but then again, the fact he's not there for it would make it kind of pointless. I don't know, 50-50 on the Zack thing, but I do think it would be very interesting to see the alternate view of Rebirth's ending, whichever perspective it is that we get on that. And I think it's likely, because, you know, this is how they opened Rebirth, with a load of context for what went on at the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake. So at the start of Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3, getting that context again for what happened at the end of Rebirth would make sense. I like this one. I like this one. Now, as a quick bonus point, one thing that I said in the previous video was that I don't think we open with the snowboarding, and I still don't think we open with the snowboarding, but there was the suggestion that it would be quite interesting to open with it, especially given the fact that Cloud is of the mindset that Aerith is fine. Nothing bad happened. So he could engage in the whole snowboarding thing without a shred of guilt, without a shred of pain or sadness. He just thinks Aerith's, you know, chilling over there, looking after Holy, doing her thing. That's Cloud's perspective, seemingly, at that point. So, yeah, we could start with snowboarding. It could be quite funny to see, well, maybe not funny, but yeah, no, funny. It could be quite funny to see the rest of the party who are clearly deep in grief reacting to Cloud just being like, whoa, snowboarding about. I think that'd be pretty funny. Don't know what that was either, that whoa. I've done it twice now. Not doing it again. Not doing it again. But yeah, I quite like that point. I still personally would be shocked if we got it straight away. Like, I don't think we're going to open the game. When I say the opening of the game, I'm talking like the first hour. And I don't think we're going to get snowboarding in the first hour. I genuinely don't. But again, it's possible. Also, one more bonus suggestion that I've not thrown into the video as a bigger thing is that we open the game in Wutai. Like I said, I think I mentioned it in the video, I think it is a possibility, but it'd rely on a few things going differently. It'd mean, like, we head to the North Crater, but something stops us. Maybe there's a massive Shinra presence at the Icicle Inn or something like that, so we divert, we end up at Wutai, we deal with Wutai, and then we come back. I don't know. There's a few possibilities. We do hear the suggestion in the latter stages of Rebirth that some areas might become closed off due to the impending war, so maybe we see some impact from that. So yeah, another bonus one, and possible. But now we're going to get into the juicy two. And one of them I think is more likely than the other, but I think they've both got a chance. So the first one is that we get a Jenova / Cetra flashback. We get a flashback to show us what happened, or at least a piece of what happened, back when Jenova and the Cetra clashed. And this is something people have wanted for so long. So very long. A little bit of context and a little bit of information about what went down between Jenova and the Cetra, and we've kind of seen a fair bit of that in the Temple of the Ancient scene in Rebirth, so I don't know if they'll rehash it, but at the same time, the fact that we have seen that after seeing practically nothing ever, that's kind of like Pandora's box has been opened a little bit. They've let the Cetra Jenova stuff out of the box, so now they've kind of got to lean into it possibly and give us a little bit more context. Like, I think it's possible. I definitely think it's possible. Maybe not at the intro of the game, but I do think it's something we're going to see at some point. Like, they've got to show us it. Like, they absolutely have to show us this. I do think there's a possibility that it might be something we get in Ever Crisis, in the First Soldier. That's also possible. But I would be very happy if we were to get some sort of Jenova Cetra flashback that details things that went on, that maybe illuminates us a little bit more on like this imagery that's been used to compare the goddess and Jenova as maybe one in the same. That happens in Rebirth in the Temple of the Ancients, so maybe we get a little bit more context around that. I don't know, there's a lot of possibilities for information they could give us around Jenova and the Cetra, because, you know, they've not really given us that much about that time period. They've given, you know, it's a fable, essentially, at this point. It's a mythical story about the ancient Cetran people and this horrible space alien, and it's kind of been consigned to mythology. If it wasn't for Shinra messing about, that's exactly where it would have stayed. But here we are. So yeah, it'd be very interesting to get that information. I would approve this. I would approve this. I approve of this, yes. But then we get to the big one. And this is the one that I didn't even think about this, I'll be honest with you. This didn't even pop into my fragile little brain. And it's opening the game with the flashback of Ifalna and Gast. Now, for those of you that don't know, Ifalna and Professor Gast are two of the most important characters in the pre-story of Final Fantasy VII, and, well, I was going to say Remake and Rebirth, but no, just Final Fantasy VII in general, just all around. Professor Gast is basically the father of the Jenova project. Oh, and Aerith. And Ifalna she is the last remaining full-blooded ancient. So, two massively... Oh, and Aerith's mum, you know. So we've got Aerith's mum and dad. We've got them in Icicle Inn. This is how it goes down in the OG, of course. Aerith's just been born. We get some family home video. We get a little bit of Gast talking about the weapons, which is something that could definitely be fleshed out a lot more in Part 3. But yeah, we just get a bit of an exposition done from Ifalna and Professor Gast about a couple of things that we're just opening up to in the original Final Fantasy VII. So, seeing Ifalna and Gast would do the exact same thing that it does in the OG. It's preparing us for the things that we're about to go on and see. We've just lost Aerith, so now we get all this revelatory information about her. Well, not all of it, but a little bit. And then Hojo turns up with the boys, kills Gast, and takes Ifalna and Aerith. And I love this idea, and so do a lot of you. And I don't even think it necessarily has to happen in the exact same way. We could not go to Icicle Inn at the start of the game, and it could still happen, because we have Aerith. So let's say we get an opening cutscene of Aerith. Maybe not necessarily her perspective of what went down, but maybe just like a series of flashbacks of Aerith's life, just kind of setting the tone for something that goes down in Part 3. Don't know what, but you know, let's just say that we open with Aerith in some capacity. You could work in the Ifalna Gast flashback into there. It could be the planet, it could be Omni Aerith, it could be a couple of things showing Aerith these moments, and yeah, I think it would be quite interesting. I think it's more likely that we will see it in Icicle Inn when we do end up there, but like I say, in the OG, it kind of sets you up and sets up a couple of ideas, such as the weapons and things like that. But then again, do we really need the weapons to be set up right now? They've already been pretty heavily set up in Rebirth. So maybe the purpose of that scene changes. Now, one interesting thing to note about this is that in some trailer footage for something in recent years, I'm not sure if it was Crisis Core Reunion or if it was Forever Crisis. I'm pretty sure it was Forever Crisis. But we actually see a modernized version of this scene. We only see it briefly, but we see a version of this scene where Hojo busts in with his Shinra boys at his back and kills Professor Gast. We have seen a modern version of this. I will do my best to find it. I need to remember where it was. If it's on the screen now, I found it. If it isn't, I didn't. But it definitely happened. I know it happened. So, yes. And that just means that that scene is out there. That scene has been thought about. They've even put work into that scene. So the fact that they've done that, it gives me a lot of hope that when we see it in part 3, because I think we'll definitely see it, whether or not we open with it, we'll definitely see it at some point in the game. I have a lot of hope that we'll see something quite interesting in that scene. At the very least, I feel like we'll get more information than we did in the OG, and I think that can only be a good thing. But there you have it. That is the top 5 suggestions from the comments on the previous video. I think I've covered most of the ideas that were put out there in the comment section. I apologise if I've missed some. I just don't want to make this some big 30-minute thing. I just kind of want to loosely touch on, you know, your ideas. Just touching on your ideas, stealing your ideas. Give me the ideas. For me, the most likely is probably the alternate view of Rebirth's ending. I think that's probably the most likely one that we'll get. But the one that I want more than anything is the Ifalna and Gast flashback opening. I just think it would be a super poignant way to open the game. I just think it would be good. I'm a little bit disappointed in myself that I didn't think about this. So thanks for that comment. Thanks. No, but seriously though, thank you. It just didn't pop into my mind that we could open with that. And yeah, I think that's a pretty juicy idea. I'm a big fan of that. Anyway, we've reached the part of the video where I ask you to do things. Obviously, like, subscribe, and share the video. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments below. A, about the ideas that I've shared. You know, just let me know what you think of these additional ideas that I've gone over. If you've not watched the original video, go check out the original video. Let me know how this video is. Good video, bad video, medium video, midio. Let me know what you're thinking. You know, if I can improve this series, because I am going to make it a series, I'm going to start more regularly diving into the comments and pulling them out for a video to actually talk about them rather than just giving a quick response. Because I feel like this is how we get more conversation going, and more conversation is good. I mean, we've got 3 years to kill, you know? Because it's probably going to be about 3 years from now when Remake Part 3 comes out, so, you know, let's have some fun with this. Like I say, like the video, subscribe for future content. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Give me some feedback on the video, do a little dance, run around, but more importantly than all of that, have a great day.